Good morning. Yummers. Um, Still all fucked up about my niece. One of my favorite nieces becoming a boy. Um, I've made a lot of thoughtful posts on my Facebook in the last couple of days. Um, uh, Seems hopeless sometimes, doesn't it? Like when you look at these supposed like the smart kids with decent life raised up, whatever, in this hopeless society, and that's the big part of it. There's like no future, really. Like there is, it's there, but it's just on such a pendulum. It could go either way, and most people are like doom, doom and gloom. It's hard not to be. So anyway, super frustrating. You can't. You, you can dress like a boy and think that you're acting like a boy, even though you're not. A woman. I know girls who think that they're like, oh, I'm more like a man than most men I know, or whatever. But then when you watch them or hang out with them, if a man acted the way that these girls do, he'd be getting punched out all the time. They get away with so much more than any man would ever get away with. And they have no idea what the experience of being a man is, where you're under that threat of being beat up. Um, for saying something stupid. Anyway, um, but she's a university graduate who took biology. So you think that she would understand that it's not just a penis and ovaries that are the differences between men and women. You know, there's all the psychological things as well. But then you also have like a man's joint arms bones are longer. If you have a woman with a torso X length, and then you take a man with a torso the exact same X length, his arms and legs are going to be longer. He's going to be taller than her. And because of that, things like swimming, he's going to be faster at. Running, he's going to be faster at, because just reach and length, right? Like that's vital when you're running or swimming. And on top of that, the actual joints themselves have more density. The muscles have more density. The all the ligaments and things are different. Um, the bone density is different. Um, and then the bone structure is different. Like men can't have babies. Our hips don't separate and open up in order to pass a baby through and then close back and change. Like only women can do that. And so if you get a surgery done to cut your tits off and get a fake penis, what see what happens is the person thinks that they're super happy for a year, maybe two, maybe even three, um, and they keep waiting to heal and be done with all this shit, right? All these problems, and then so they keep going to their doctor and doing all the shit, and then finally they say, you know, when is this? When am I going to be a man? When am I going to be done with this shit? Like, shouldn't I be banging bitches now or whatever, like normal, getting hard on when I see girls or something? And no, you got to get a little pump, pump your heart on up, and they've destroyed all the nerve endings, or most of them, so you can't even achieve orgasm or even feel that you're having sex anymore. And now all this reality kicks in that that's your life from now on, and now you're not what you were born as. You're not a girl or a boy. You're not what you are anymore. You're mutilated, but you're not what your goal was either. So if you were a girl and you're trying to be a boy, you're not a boy, but now you're no longer a girl. Now you're just, I don't even know. What they used to call them something. Uh, there's a word for it. Eunuch. Now you're just a eunuch, right? You might as well have no parts. Just get rid of it all, and at least then you don't have all this fucking maintenance. That's where your life leads with this transgender shit. Anyway, what bugs me the most is people are all so stupidly gullible about it. And like, okay, so the transgender person is usually isolated, depressed, had some fucking hardships growing up, middle child, whatever, craving attention, seeking approval from an authority figure like a father figure or whatever. So they end up seeking that from these teachers, and these teachers are either totally brainwashed zombies or psychopaths who don't give a shit about you, but will push these narratives and stuff because they got like Tinder and they don't give a shit. They're paid and fucking looking good for the rest of their lives. And as long as they tote the line, they're gonna keep that. If they fucking step off the line, well, you see what happens. When they step off the line, they make a big example of them. They fucking take away Tinder. They try to just destroy their whole career. Immediately start fucking disgracing them about anything and everything that they possibly can. And they can usually never disregard the argument that was put forth. Like they can't. It was like that. My niece's friend, I got talking to her, and she got really angry on Facebook and right on my niece's timeline. So I was like, no, I'll go to Messenger and talk to you in Messenger. And when she seen that she couldn't win through reason or logic, she immediately started attacking me, waiting for me to defend myself. And even before I defended myself, started calling herself a victim as she attacked me. And greased me out and she was calling out like my parents and my raising, my upbringing, and my calling me tough guy and calling me this and that. Said that she had sex with God and that Jesus was a gay, and like just anything and everything that she could do to try to get under my skin, to try to get me to defend myself or my honor or whatever, in order to make it about that. And then she could claim victimhood that I'm attacking her or whatever. Crazy. And these people are supported in the society and by these teachers, and this is who's in her life. And so they're pushing people down these roads to be, and these people are 20 years old, man. You didn't know who you were. You're trying to find who you are and figuring out that by that age, that's when you're supposed to figure out that nobody knows who they are. All your friends that you thought were so cool, even the adults that you looked up to and stuff, nobody knows. People are just all trying to figure themselves out, and it's a life journey to learn yourself and be yourself and love yourself and all that stuff. It's not something that you're going to do in a month or a year or whatever. It's a whole life. That lighting's fucking me up. So So it's a real easy time to manipulate those kids from 18 to 22. So, anyhow, the um, lost my train. Um, that's the same thing that cults do, and then on top of that, cults also they'll give you gruel or whatever. So it's food, but it has no nutritional value. There's no vitamins in it, and no proteins or anything, and it weakens you down, dumbs you down, and weakens your system so that you're more easily manipulated and controlled. Well, any salami, bologna, hot dogs, pepperoni, McDonald's, Taco Bell, the list goes, Dairy Queen, it goes on and on and on. Any of that food, especially those meats, that faux, fake burgery crap, but even the French fries and all that stuff, all the nutrition's been cooked right out of that. And even if you're getting a vegetable from them, if it's hot, if it's not raw, it's been microwaved to be hot for you. And therefore, all the nutrition, all the vitamins were nuked out of it. They're destroyed, they're killed. So there's nothing in that food. There's no nutritional value. You're just filling up your stomach, but you're not actually filling up your brain and your cells. You're not feeding your body anything that it needs. And then they promote booze. The Bible says don't touch alcohol or wine once it ferments. And I know that Jesus changed the rules a bit so that the dietary things aren't so forced on, but they weren't the dietary laws weren't for the God. They were for man. They were for your benefit, right? Like, so if you can stay to those laws, you're going to be a healthier person. Your body's going to be healthier, better, work better, and it's going to be optimal working machine, whatever. Um, Booze is so destructive, so destructive. Look at not just the after effects, because the after effects last months, 6 months in your brain. But the like just while someone's actually drunk, like if they're drunk and they're like stumbling and laughing about it and like falling or tripping up or dropping shit or uh swaying when they're standing and shit like that or whatever. And that's the mild, like that's a buzz drunk. And then you can go to that next stage where they're like falling down, tripping over nothing, sleeping at the table, whatever, right? Puking your face off, whatever. Like it, or pass right out and then wake up and your fucking head is pounding. Well, what do you think that is doing to your fucking processors and shit? Like that's very cultish. Like they're destroying you, weakening you in order to control you better. And then they promote it. Oh, it's everything all over TV, all over the magazines, all of the sports games and everything. It's all sponsored by Budweiser, Bud Dummer, whatever. And it's not for your benefit. That's for sure. Not to mention the cost. Even to have like just a few drinks at home on hand or whatever, like the cost of drinking a little is a lot. And then if you want to like go somewheres and have some drinks with your friends or something like that, you're looking at like cabs and fucking the money just piles right up. And if you're not rich, drinking shouldn't be even close to being anything in your life. I know, as I smoke a joint. But actually, in the Bible, it talks about weed. Once they put it in oils and put it on their skin, and uh, and then they're always burning incense. What do you think that was? You think it was just sweet smelling grass or whatever? No, weed, dummy. Never says anywhere in the Bible don't smoke weed or don't burn incense or whatever. Beautiful incense. And the people that I know who are Christians that smoke weed are the most biblical and actually understand it the most, and they're open-minded to it all the best. And especially those of us who've done psychedelics in our lifetime, we're even more so to understand and figure it all out. Right? These are all natural things that God gave us that grow right on the earth. You just go pick them. You're not. It's not like cocaine. You just go pick it and chew the leaves or whatever, and there's all kinds of benefits to it. When you process it down and cook it with diesel and fucking do all this shit, turn it into that powder, well, now it's a totally different thing, right? Like, I was listening to a roofer, and him and the guys all smoked a joint on the roof or whatever, and then, or a couple, as they were roofing, and then he had to go get something at the hardware store, so he fucked off. And the two young fellas sat down on a jack stand, and they got the shatter out, and they started smoking fucking shatter. And he comes back, and they're fucking bloodshot eyes, baked right out of her, fucking nothing done the whole time he was gone. They're just fucked, and they're fucking useless as shit, all fucking baked. And he starts giving them shit, and one of them's like, "Well, you smoke pot. What's the difference?" And he said, "Well, the difference is having a fucking pint of beer at lunch or having a pint of R&R or a pint of fucking whiskey at lunch. It's a big fucking difference because you've manipulated the weeds to such a point now that it's a different substance. Not like cocaine. It's not getting that strong, but it's way fucking stronger. Way stronger. It's like the difference between having a beer and having a whole equivalent amount of hard alcohol, 40% alcohol, and drinking that right out of the bottle. Sure, we've all done that. Some of us have. Ugh. Man, I'm glad I don't drink. I'll miss it. So, anyhow, boys and girls, what's the solution? Where do we go with this, with these kind of people? Like, what do you do? See, I started talking about drag shows for kids that are in Canada now, and I'm like, this is a call to my mom. And I was, it is. Look at it. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. Look, 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 showing her. And look at the news where that's mantras, and they're all the news agencies all saying the exact same thing word for word over and over and over. That's a mantra, right? And they change their mantra month to month, but they're always, it's this. You're shoved at this like, oh, over and over and over again. The sheep just start bah. And so I'm showing her all this stuff, and then she says, well, the drag queens that dance for kids were paid to do that. And I went and looked it up, and yeah, they were paid tax money. We paid for those fucking queens to show their balls and dicks to kids. And then to turn around, dress those kids up, and have the kids dance for them. If you can defend that, right? If you're gonna, so here's my thought after all these conversations was that I should start looking for like an old ferry boat or a big steel barge. And I don't know if you know what dredge stones are, but it's where you put big rocks or weights and you put them down deep in the water, hanging off the side of the boat. And in order to flip the boat over, you got to actually pull them rocks over all up out of the water, right? So they hold your boat down in the water, so you can't be capsized easily. Um, so fit it out with stones, fit it out with sails, leave the motor on it. Excuse me, leave the motor in it as well, and you'd have to run it and keep it maintained, but only when necessary. Fit it with like, a windmill and some solar panels and a desalination unit where they make it sound like it's so fucking complicated. Oh, yeah, we don't have the energy. Blah, blah. I was listening to Grass Tyson and shit. If you take black jugs of salt water and put them up into the sun, the water evaporates, the salt is left behind, and you run the water vapor through a tube and cool it over here into another jug, and you got clean drinking water. It's called the cycle, water cycle. I think we learned about it in like grade 4 or something. You learned all about the water cycle and how when it comes vapor, it gets purified. It's back to just being molecules of oxygen and hydrogen or whatever, H2O, right? So they're all separated and it's just vapor. And then they come back together to make H2O and come back down as rain when they get heavy. The drops get big enough. So, and they're cleaned so long as the atmosphere is clean. So when the atmosphere is full of aluminum and boromium and fucking whatever else they're spraying out of chemical jets, then obviously it's going to have all that shit in it when it comes down. But and that shit's just going to be everywhere because it's going to naturally just fall down and land on the ground and be in the soil and in the water and everywhere else. Anyway, but that's it. There isn't like you need electricity because they're trying to boil the water, right, with fuel, right, and which again, obviously, we could do. See, what you'd have to do, and I've said this 100 times, you just take the water car technology, make it bigger, right? Stan Myers, the technology was there. He was murdered for it. And then it's been there forever. Like we've done water cars right along with the. As soon as the internal combustion engine was created, there was gas and water. It could burn hydrogen or water. It could burn both. It was just more profitable to burn gas. And they said it was easier to harness the power from gas than it was to harness the power from hydrogen. And at the time, it probably was. Anyway, since then, it's been perfected. So if you were to use hydrogen motors to power the cities and then use the exhaust from those motors to give clean water to the city, then right, you just put up a big warehouse beside the watershed and you pump water out of the watershed into the warehouse, run it through these motors to make power that would be free energy, and then it makes clean water as a fucking byproduct that you can send for people to drink, that you don't have to fill with chemicals and shit that poisons everybody. Which gets me back to the cult where they're poisoning you. They poison you with the drinking water too. It's not a lot, but it's just enough to keep you fucking stupid. And it's working. Anyway, get the boat all rigged up, sails and all that kind of shit. And it doesn't have to have much sail because I'm not going anywhere. Just fucking sail out to sea, take some chickens and stuff, make the whole top deck into a big farm, and obviously have lower decks to, and make sure that you can get your livestock down into the lower decks if you did get into a storm, and you'd have to have radar and just make sure that if you could, you'd avoid the storm, put your sails up, and get the fuck out of there. But if not, whatever, you ride the storm out, and then um, you fix whatever you can. Maybe you lose a crop or something. But anyway, and then pull into some port once or twice a year and get some gas and fucking propane or whatever else you needed. Sell some eggs or whatever you grew extra in the farm. Make sure that you're growing everything to do your chicken feed. So you'd need to buy proteins or have flies on your boat, breeding flies on your boat, which wouldn't be hard because your whole upper deck's a garden. You'd want to have like bees and you'd want to have all that kind of stuff right there. You just make your beehives indoors, like in a room. Put your beehives in that room, and just have holes drilled in the room so that the bees can go through the holes. And then if a storm comes, they go inside in the beehives in the buildings, and it's all sealed up. But hatches are battened or whatever, like they're safe. And then you take and you put your chickens in the same kind of deal. Have a steel room that's part of the boat. That's a fixtured part of the boat, not something that you build, not a shed. You leave them in the shed most of the time, but if a storm comes, you put them in something better. So really, you just want to have them in something better anyway. And then when you put your chickens away, no matter what, they're fucking safe. As long as your boat doesn't flip over, and you know what I mean. As long as you're alive, the birds are alive, kind of thing. And then maybe you'd find a deserted island. Who knows? Sail around enough. I'm on the Atlantic side, personally, but if you go, you can go down around, like Australia way, or and it's the flat Earth. They're all connected, all the waterways, so you can get into the Pacific Ocean, no problem. And there's islands like crazy, all over the Pacific. So, and if you're not in a rush, you're not going anywhere, self-sustaining on the boat with your food and your hydro and stuff. And that'd be the other thing that I'd have. I've seen them where you can get these little they're a generator, and they got a propeller on it, and you put it in a brook. It's got a little anchor that holds it. You put it in a brook, and the brook spins the propeller, and then it's got a wire coming off of it that'll charge batteries. I'd have one or two of them just dragging behind me all the time, little impellers. And so if my boat's moving, I'm making power. If the air's moving, I'm making power. And if the sun's out, I'm making power. So good to go. And probably would look at putting up like an old school windmill that I could use as a thrasher for making flowers and different things like that. And why not? Though again, you could buy that shit. I'm already getting dividends in my stocks, so as long as society's still kicking, that'd build up over the year, and that'd be enough to buy flour and stuff. And just let you guys do whatever the fuck you're gonna do, you bunch of psychopaths. You're just walking into the destruction, and every time it gets worse, you make up some new excuse. And then it's always been, well, there's no other way. Look at how bad they have it in like other countries, blah, 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 all this shit. And it's like, well, but we could make it better for them and us and everybody if we just changed the system. Oh, no, no, that never worked. Why? How? Oh, socialism doesn't work. Who's talking about socialism? I'm talking about actual capitalism, but without the monopolies and all that shit, without all the bylaws and all the loopholes and the fucking bullshit. Like, let's just go back to the republic, back to the nub, back to the real laws, and fucking regulate things so that they're fair. Like, that's the only thing that you'd have to really regulate, right? So that you'd say that, and this is the solution. And I've said this before, I'm sure. I say it in comments all the time. With the politicians, is say, if the minimum wage is X, then your wage is X times 20%, right? That should be good money. If you can't live off X times 20%, then X isn't big enough. You loser. You've failed. You failed us. This is your job. You work for us. We're paying you to do a good job, and you're doing a bad job. So get our wages up, and your wages will go up. And then on a federal level, you make it an average. You take the average of the whole country, so that if one province has a failing government, or state or whatever has a failing government, and their minimum wage is lower than everybody else's, it's going to drop the federal paycheck dramatically. Just one. So that's going to incite those federal level guys to say, okay, no, fuckers, you guys got to, whatever government's failing, you guys got to pull up your bootstraps, get that wage up, get people living better, get more money rolling, because we're feeling it all across the country now. Right? Like, do you see how that? So, and then to also, obviously, you and your husband and stuff, you can't be in politics and be investing in stocks that you directly litigate against or for or whatever. No, there's got to be some regulations there, or you can't even be on the stock market at all. And if you're found to be like that, your brother's husband is, or your brother's wife or whatever, is making millions on the stock market, your whole family's going to fucking prison at best. And really, your whole family's going to be made an example, a strong example. Let's just say that. So prison's not going to be good enough. Not going to be punishment enough, I guess. Whatever. So anyway, I don't know. Just babbling. I'm off to work, boys and girls. Have a great day. I hope that I touched your minds with some kind of thought. If you have any thoughts on better solutions, that'd be really great. Like, do you think that protest doesn't work? Like, I think the only real solution would be as if we'd all have to band together and just stop going to work. The whole working class just say, no, we're not going to work. We're not collecting paychecks. You're not collecting tax dollars off of our paychecks. It's all done. We're just stepping away. You know, we've saved up enough to eat and feed ourselves. We all got little gardens in the backyards and stuff, and we're done with you guys until you change everything dramatically and start putting some people in prison, like major amounts of people, all of that top percent, which you're asking them to arrest themselves. It's never going to happen. It'll never happen. They will do that. If we tried to do that, they would have to starve us out or whatever, force us back to work. Hopefully, if they could, they by gun. But they wouldn't be able to punish the parties involved because it's them, and they would have to be punishing themselves for treason and shit. So it'd be like major fucking punishment. So how's that ever gonna fucking happen? It's not. It's never. There's only the, who knows what the fucking solution is. God coming down and saving us all. Um, let's just say that that's the only solution. Anyway, so short of that kind of stuff happening, living out on a barge in international waters, whatever, if they fucking decide that I'm some kind of a threat or something and bomb me or shoot me or kill me or send pirates, whatever, fuck, whatever. Pretty easy to fucking target to just get rid of. But at the same time, I'm no threat to anything out there, just fucking floating around, doing my thing. Um, you'd have to be fairly armed because there are pirates that would try to rob you, but they're mostly like dirt fucking poor people in little tiny boats. So they'd be coming up, you'd see them and hear them coming. As long as you had a gun or two, a good shot, um, you could probably kill everyone in the boat before they ever got close to you, and then you'd have a whole bunch of guns. And it's in international waters or whatever, so there's no laws or anything against that. You just dump them into the water and claim their stuff and be done with it. Cruel and sick because they're just starving people doing anything they can to try to feed their wives and children and families and shit because of the fucking fucked up society that we made for them to have to exist in. But you or me, I'm not. I'm not going down for you or some pirates, whatever. Anyhow, what do you think, guys? Pretty messed, I think. Uh, this whole transgender thing and the drag kid shows and all that stuff. You realize the Epstein Island people are going to start fucking kids right in front of you. They're going to have, like Leonardo DiCaprio taking the 20-year-olds to all the shows and stuff like that. It's going to be fucking 8-year-olds. I don't know if it'll be Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't shoot his name down. He probably stick with his 20-year-olds. That's what he likes. But I mean, what's his name? Fucking Tom Hanks. Somebody like that. Sick fuckers. And that's what they want. They want to just be able to do it openly. And then the Epstein Island shit won't matter. Oprah will have a couple little slave kids right beside her all the time. Like, what's her name does? Gwen Stefani. She's got those 2 Chinese girls that she owns. Or 3, whatever it is. Well, they're just going to be doing that right openly. And they're going to make you guys all... You'll start making excuses. Or not you, maybe, but liberals and most people and like people that watch TV and watch the news and watch, drink the Kool-Aid. They'll all be like, oh fuck, we're saving the whatever. Who knows how they'll logic it? I don't know. Whatever. They're coming up with shit all the time. What is it? You're a connected person. Anyway, I gotta go. Have a great day, guys.